All right, in this video, I'm going over the comprehension questions for the Great Fire. Number one, the author uses a cause and effect text structure to present information in this story. Reread the information on pages 708 and 709. What series of events were behind the causes that allowed Claire Innes to escape the fire? So you can go back to your cause and effect chart. What were the things that led her to escape the fire? Well, first, what happened? She hid behind a pile of bricks to protect herself. Next, when the fire had burned down, Claire was able to climb over the debris into the street. So those were the series of events that led to her being able to escape the fire. And again, those can be found on page 708 and 709, and it can also be found in your cause and effect chart at the very beginning. Okay, number two, why do you think many city residents such as Julia Lemos and the women Joseph Chamberlain saw on their way to work Monday morning found it difficult to believe that the fire would have any effect on their lives? Well, back then, remember, people didn't have cell phones, things like that. You didn't have the news filming everything that was going on. So communication was slow to reaching the outskirts. And the fire had even destroyed the newspaper and telegraph offices. So even the little bit of news that normally would get out was not getting out because those buildings were destroyed. And so no one knew the extent of the fire until the next day. So it took much longer for the word to travel about the extent of the fire, how big it was, and how much trouble they were having putting it out. Okay, number three, what was James Hildreth's plan to stop the fire? Do you think it was a good idea? What might you have suggested to try to stop the spread of fires? So remember, James Hildreth is the one that decided to blow up some of the buildings to create a fire break. Was it a good idea? Now, this is your opinion. You want to back it up with some evidence. If you think it was a good idea, you need to find evidence on why it was successful. If you think it was a bad idea, evidence on why it was not successful. And then what you would have suggested. What would you have done in his situation? Okay, number four, why do you think people who have never experienced this kind of disaster are still interested in reading about it, even though it took place over 130 years ago? So even now, there was a book I recently read where one of the main events in the book occurred during this fire. And so they're still using it in books and texts today. Why do you think people are still interested in this kind of thing? So again, that's your own personal opinion. I think these kind of stories are interesting to hear all the tales of like courage and sacrifice and the resilience that people had to come back after such a devastating disaster like this. Same thing with 9/11. Some of those stories are really hard to hear, but they're also inspiring because to know that these people still had the courage to help others in the face of this great danger is inspiring to me. It helps me realize, hey, there is, even when days are bad and people make bad choices, that hey, there are good people out there that are doing good things every day. So that's my reasoning. But again, you can have your own reasoning. Okay, number five, reread The Great London Fire on pages 704 and 705. Identify some of the conditions in the London Fire of 1666 that were also present in Chicago in 1871. And that contributed to the fires that nearly destroyed each city. Well, both cities had houses close together, and they were made of mostly all wood, which made the fires spread very easily. And in both cases, it was difficult to get water to fight the fires. So those were two conditions that even 200 years later were still an issue in Chicago. same as they were in 1666. Now, luckily, those two major issues have been solved today. Not nearly as many buildings are made out of purely wood. Shake roofs, wood shake roofs are now, you're not allowed to build new homes with wood shake roofs. At least I know you're not allowed here in California. And those are all efforts to prevent great fires like this from happening again. Does it mean we can prevent everything? No, but it's just things we've done to try to prevent them at least. All right, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.